Listen carefully, because this might be one of the most important coin warnings you will ever hear. Right now, somewhere in America, someone is reaching into their pocket, pulling out a handful of nickels, and accidentally spending a coin that collectors would fight over like hidden treasure. Welcome to USA Coin Reveal, the place where ordinary pocket change turns into silent fortune. Today, we're exposing the top 5 super rare, most valuable USA Jefferson nickels hiding in circulation. These coins look normal. They look like everyday money, but some of them are worth serious money, life-changing wealth. Quiet fortunes collectors are secretly hunting for. These are the coins nobody talks about. The coins people spend every day without checking. Do not spend these coins. Check your pocket now, check your change jars, check your drawers, because if you have one of these, it means you're holding a fortune. And stay with me, because each coin we reveal today gets bigger, rarer, and more shocking. And the final one will completely change how you see a simple nickel. Now let's talk about a coin that most people would ignore in less than a second. The 1987D Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks like ordinary pocket change. The kind of coin that rolls across a gas station counter, disappears into vending machines, or gets tossed into a jar on the kitchen shelf. But collectors who truly understand the coin market know something powerful about this year. The 1987D is one of those quiet coins that can slip through the world unnoticed while secretly holding serious hidden wealth. Ignoring this coin could mean ignoring a silent fortune. To understand why this coin matters so much, you have to step back into the United States. In 1987, America was going through one of the most intense financial periods of the decade. The stock market crash known as Black Monday shook the financial world. Markets were volatile, investors were nervous, and the economy was under pressure. During these kinds of financial transitions, coin production can change in subtle ways. Mints push production quickly to keep circulation flowing, machines run longer hours, and small minting variations begin to appear. These conditions sometimes create coins that later become unexpected treasures. The 1987 Jefferson nickel struck in Denver carries the small D mint mark, and that tiny letter is something serious collectors always check immediately. The Denver Mint was producing millions of coins, but the survival of a beautifully preserved example decades later is extremely uncommon. Most of these coins were spent quickly, scratched, cleaned, damaged, or simply worn down through years of circulation. Finding one today with a beautiful surface and almost fine condition is not normal. It means the coin escaped the destruction that erased countless others. Look closely at the design, and you'll see the legacy of American history staring back at you. On the front is the calm, thoughtful profile of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most important founding figures in U.S. history. His portrait carries an energy of intelligence and leadership that collectors instantly recognize. Flip the coin over, and you see Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, standing strong with its classic architecture. This design has been part of American life since 1938, and by 1987, it had already traveled through generations of hands. The metal composition of this coin is another reason it survived decades in circulation. The Jefferson nickel is made from a durable copper-nickel alloy, roughly 75% copper and 25% nickel. That blend creates a coin that can withstand years of handling without completely losing its detail. When you hold one, you can feel its solid presence. The coin weighs approximately 5 grams. Its diameter measures about 21.21 millimeters, and its thickness sits around 1.95 millimeters. It's a small piece of metal, but the moment collectors recognize the right details, that tiny object transforms into something much bigger, a quiet piece of wealth. Now here's the detail that changes everything. The coin we're talking about carries a beautiful natural look with original surfaces. That means the toning, the subtle antique color, the tiny surface character developed over decades are still there. These natural surfaces are incredibly important in the collector world. When coins are cleaned, polished, or chemically treated, their originality is destroyed instantly. And once that happens, serious collectors walk away. Originality is everything. The untouched surface of an older coin is like a fingerprint of history. Survival is the real secret behind rarity. Millions of coins were minted in 1987, but only a small fraction survived decades of circulation while maintaining attractive detail and authentic surfaces. Most were abused by time. Some were cleaned by well-meaning owners who unknowingly erased their value. Others were damaged by machines, moisture, or careless handling. That's why when collectors encounter a strong, surviving example, the bidding becomes quiet, intense, and aggressive. Auction rooms don't always look dramatic from the outside. But inside, when a coin like this appears, the energy changes. Experienced collectors lean forward. Bidders watch each other carefully. The room becomes silent as numbers rise. Many collectors aren't buying these coins to flip them quickly. They're buying them to hold them, sometimes for decades, because they understand the simple rule of the rare coin world. Demand rises, supply shrinks. And this is where the reality becomes shocking. In today's collector market, the 1987D Jefferson nickel in almost fine condition with beautiful original surfaces has reached a current market value around $192. Yes, that is real. That is not fiction. That is serious money hiding inside a coin most people would spend without thinking. That small nickel can represent life-changing wealth, a silent fortune sitting in someone's pocket change right now. This is exactly why the warning matters so much. Do not spend this coin. If you ever see a 1987D Jefferson nickel with strong detail and original surfaces, stop immediately and look closer. That small letter D, the condition of Jefferson's portrait, the clarity of Monticello, the natural toning, those details can mean the difference between 5 cents and a hidden treasure. Another critical warning collectors repeat constantly is simple but powerful. Never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys originality, and originality is the heartbeat of value. Even rubbing a coin with cloth can reduce its worth dramatically. The smartest move is to place it safely in a protective holder and have it evaluated by a professional grading service. Grading verifies authenticity, protects the coin, and allows serious collectors to compete for it with confidence. Patient collectors understand something else most people overlook. Rare coins often become more valuable over time because collectors don't want to let them go. When strong examples disappear into private collections, the market supply gets smaller and smaller. That pressure pushes values upward. In other words, the longer a rare coin survives untouched, the stronger its story becomes. So if you ever come across a 1987D Jefferson nickel with beautiful surfaces and almost fine condition, slow down and look carefully. That coin might not just be pocket change. It might be quiet wealth, a silent fortune, a hidden treasure waiting for the right person to recognize it. Coins like this are proof that history and money sometimes hide in the most ordinary places. And remember, this is only the first coin on today's list, because the next Jefferson nickel we're about to reveal is even more dangerous to ignore. It comes from a year when minting conditions created one of the most mysterious survival stories in the nickel series, and collectors are quietly battling to find it. Stay with me, because the next coin changes everything. Coin number 2. Now take a deep breath, because the coin we're about to uncover next is one that many collectors quietly whisper about, but most people never notice. Somewhere in America right now, this coin is sitting in a pocket, sliding across a countertop, or resting unnoticed in a jar of loose change. Someone might spend it in a vending machine without even glancing at it. And that's the shocking part, because this ordinary-looking nickel can secretly represent a silent fortune. The coin we're revealing now is the 1956D Jefferson nickel, and ignoring this coin could mean walking away from serious hidden wealth. Let's go back to the United States in 1956. America was in the middle of a powerful post-war boom. Highways were expanding, industries were growing fast, and millions of Americans were moving into a new era of prosperity. The Denver Mint was working hard to produce coins that could keep up with the exploding economy. Machines ran constantly, dies were replaced rapidly, and enormous quantities of nickels were pushed into circulation. Under those intense minting conditions, coins were produced quickly, sometimes leaving subtle surface characteristics that collectors now study with obsession. Most coins from that year were used heavily, worn down by everyday spending, and eventually lost to time. But every once in a while, a coin survives in a condition that turns it into a hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. The 1956 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark carries that quiet power. The small D stamped beside Jefferson's portrait tells us this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. That tiny detail may seem insignificant to the average person, but to serious collectors, it's the first thing they search for. The Denver Mint struck millions of coins that year, but the survival of an example with strong detail and authentic surfaces decades later is extremely uncommon. Most coins from that era were pushed through countless hands, scratched by machines, exposed to moisture, or even cleaned by people who didn't realize they were destroying value. This particular coin tells a very different story. The front and back carry a dark brown, rust-like layer, a deep natural toning that formed slowly over decades. To someone unfamiliar with coins, that color might look like damage. But experienced collectors see something completely different. They see authenticity. They see a surface that hasn't been stripped or polished. They see history that developed naturally through time. That antique tone becomes a signature of survival, and it can transform a simple coin into something collectors aggressively compete to own. Look at the design, and you immediately recognize the strong presence of American history. The front of the coin displays the profile of Thomas Jefferson, calm, focused, and thoughtful. His portrait has been part of American coinage since 1938, representing the legacy of one of the nation's most influential founders. Turn the coin over, and you see Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia estate, standing with classical symmetry and architectural beauty. Even after decades, when the details remain visible in almost fine condition, collectors pay very close attention. The metal composition of the 1956 Jefferson nickel is another reason it survived the test of time. Like other nickels of the era, it was struck using a copper-nickel alloy containing about 75% copper and 25% nickel. That mixture created a strong and durable coin capable of surviving years of circulation. When you hold one, it has a reassuring weight of approximately 5 grams. The diameter measures about 21.21 millimeters, and the thickness rests near 1.0 0.95 millimeters. It's small enough to overlook, yet solid enough to carry decades of American history inside its metal. But survival alone does not create rarity. What truly matters is condition combined with originality. This coin is described as almost fine condition, which means the major design details remain visible even after decades in circulation. Jefferson's profile still carries structure, Monticello still shows its lines, and the natural toning remains intact. That balance between wear and preservation is exactly what collectors look for in older coins that survived real circulation. There is also something collectors obsess over that casual observers miss entirely: untouched surfaces. Once a coin is cleaned, polished, or chemically treated, its originality disappears forever. Many older coins were ruined by owners trying to make them shiny. That single mistake can destroy thousands of dollars in potential value. A naturally toned coin, even with dark color or rust-like surfaces, is often far more valuable than one that has been cleaned. That's why collectors carefully inspect surfaces under strong light, searching for signs that the coin remained untouched. Now imagine this moment inside a serious coin auction. The room grows quiet when a rare surviving example appears. Collectors who understand the Jefferson nickel series know exactly what they're looking at. Bidders don't shout loudly. Instead, they raise paddles calmly while the price climbs higher and higher. Some collectors are not buying these coins to sell quickly. They're buying them to hold, locking them away in collections because they know the supply keeps shrinking. And this is where the story becomes truly shocking. In today's collector market, a 1956D Jefferson nickel with dark brown original surfaces in almost fine condition has reached an astonishing value of about $211. That's not a guess. That's not fiction. That is the kind of number collectors are willing to pay when the right coin appears. A small nickel most people would spend without hesitation can represent life-changing wealth and a hidden treasure sitting quietly in someone's pocket. This is exactly why the warning matters so much. Do not spend this coin. If you ever see a 1956 Jefferson nickel with the Denver mint mark and deep natural toning, stop and look carefully. That tiny detail might be the difference between a common coin and a silent fortune. And remember another critical rule in the coin world: never clean the coin. Cleaning removes the very surface collectors want. Even rubbing a coin with cloth can damage it. The smartest move is to protect it, keep it untouched, and have it evaluated by a professional grading service. Professional grading confirms authenticity and allows collectors to compete for it confidently in the market. Smart collectors also understand the power of patience. Coins like this are becoming harder to find because strong examples disappear into long-term collections. As more collectors enter the market and fewer coins remain available, the competition intensifies. Demand rises quietly while supply continues to shrink. That's exactly how hidden treasures become legendary pieces over time. So if you ever come across a 1956D Jefferson nickel with that deep brown surface and surviving detail, don't ignore it. That coin might not be ordinary change at all. It might be serious money, quiet wealth, a silent fortune hiding in plain sight. And believe it or not, the coin we're about to reveal next is even more mysterious. It comes from a year that collectors consider one of the most overlooked moments in Jefferson nickel history, and one tiny detail on that coin is causing collectors to fight for it. Stay with me, because the next coin might be the most shocking discovery yet. Coin number 3. Now before you relax for even a second, listen carefully, because the next coin on this list is one that people overlook every single day. Someone could pull it from a cash register, slide it across a table, or drop it into a parking meter without ever realizing what they just let go. That's the shocking truth about the 1952 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark. At first glance, it looks like nothing special, just another worn nickel from the early 1950s. But to serious collectors, this coin can represent a silent fortune, a hidden treasure hiding in plain sight, and the kind of discovery that can completely change someone's financial story overnight. Ignoring this coin could mean ignoring serious money. To understand why this coin matters so much, we have to travel back to 1952 America. The country was in the middle of a powerful economic transition after World War II. Industries were booming, the population was growing rapidly, and the demand for circulating coins was enormous. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark during that era, was under constant pressure to keep coins flowing into the economy. Machines ran for long hours, dies were used intensely, and huge numbers of coins were pushed into circulation as quickly as possible. Under those demanding minting conditions, coins developed subtle characteristics that collectors today examine with incredible attention. The coin we're focusing on now carries no mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia. That missing mint mark might look like nothing to the average person, but collectors immediately recognize its significance. When a coin from the early 1950s survives decades of circulation without being destroyed, cleaned, or heavily damaged, it becomes part of a very small group of surviving examples. That's exactly what we're seeing with this 1952 Jefferson nickel. What makes this particular coin stand out even more is the green-gray rust layer visible on both the front and back. Now here's something many people misunderstand. That unusual color might look like damage to someone who doesn't know coins, but collectors see something very different. They see natural aging, the kind of surface development that happens slowly over decades when a coin remains untouched. That antique tone becomes proof that the coin has not been artificially cleaned or polished. In the collector world, originality is everything. Once a coin is cleaned, its value can collapse instantly. But when natural toning survives, the coin carries the authentic fingerprint of time. Take a closer look at the design, and you'll immediately recognize the historical importance of the Jefferson nickel series. The front of the coin displays the strong, calm profile of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential figures in American history. His portrait has appeared on the nickel since 1938, representing leadership, intelligence, and the founding ideals of the nation. Turn the coin over, and you see the iconic image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. Even in almost fine condition, the lines of the building remain visible, giving collectors the details they search for when evaluating authenticity and preservation. The metal composition of this coin also plays a role in its survival. Like most Jefferson nickels of the time, it was produced using a durable copper-nickel alloy, roughly 75% copper and 25% nickel. That combination allowed the coin to survive years of circulation without completely losing its design. When you hold one of these nickels in your hand, it carries a weight of approximately 5 grams. Its diameter measures about 21.21 millimeters, and the thickness is close to 1.95 millimeters. It's small, compact, and easy to overlook. Yet inside that small piece of metal can hide an astonishing amount of value. But here's the detail that collectors obsess over. The coin we're discussing survived in almost fine condition. That means, despite decades of circulation, the major features of Jefferson's portrait remain recognizable. Monticello's structure still shows through the wear, and the surfaces maintain their natural character. Survival like this is rare because most coins from the early 1950s were worn down far more severely. Millions were spent, damaged, cleaned, or lost. Only a small number survived with this balance of wear and preservation. When collectors encounter a coin like this in the market, the reaction can be intense. Auction rooms often grow quiet when a rare surviving nickel appears. Experienced collectors lean forward, carefully examining the surfaces and the mint mark position. They know that once a coin like this disappears into a private collection, it might not return to the market for years. That tension creates aggressive bidding, with prices climbing steadily as collectors compete for ownership. And this is the moment where the story becomes truly astonishing. In today's collector market, a 1952 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark, showing green-gray original surfaces in almost fine condition, has reached a market value of about $190. That is not fiction. That is not exaggeration. That is real auction behavior, driven by collectors who understand how rare surviving examples have become. A coin most people would spend without thinking could actually represent life-changing wealth, a hidden fortune quietly waiting to be discovered. This is why the warning is so important. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find a 1952 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark, stop immediately and examine it carefully. Look at the surface color. Look at Jefferson's portrait. Look at the Monticello building. Those details could mean the difference between ordinary pocket change and serious hidden money. Another rule that experienced collectors repeat constantly is simple but critical. Never clean the coin. Cleaning removes the natural surface collectors want to see. Even light rubbing can damage the delicate toning that proves authenticity. The smartest move is to keep the coin untouched and have it evaluated by a professional grading service. Professional grading protects the coin and confirms its authenticity, allowing serious collectors to compete for it with confidence. Patient collectors also know something powerful about rare coins. As more examples disappear into private collections, fewer remain available on the open market. Demand continues rising while supply slowly shrinks. That quiet pressure pushes prices higher over time. In other words, coins like this become more valuable simply because they survive. So if you ever come across a 1952 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark, especially one showing that unusual green-gray natural surface, slow down before spending it. That coin might not be ordinary change at all. It might be a silent fortune, a hidden treasure that people are accidentally losing every single day. And believe it or not, the coin coming next on our list is even more surprising. It comes from a much later year, a year most people would never suspect could produce a rare nickel. Yet collectors are quietly hunting for it right now. Stay with me, because the next coin might be the most unexpected treasure of them all. Coin number 4. The next coin on this list is one that most people would never stop to examine. It moves through everyday transactions quietly, almost invisible, sliding across counters, vending machines, and pockets across America. But in the collector world, this coin has begun to attract serious attention. If you have ever picked up a 1969 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark, especially one showing its age with natural black rust spots on both sides, you could be looking at something far more powerful than pocket change. In fact, ignoring this coin could mean overlooking a silent fortune hiding in plain sight. This is exactly the type of coin collectors whisper about, because it looks ordinary, but the right details can turn it into serious money and quiet wealth. The year 1969 sits in one of the most dramatic moments in United States history. The country was in the middle of social change, political pressure, and technological breakthroughs. That was the year when the world watched the Apollo 11 mission land on the moon, when the United States was pushing the limits of science and innovation. At the same time, the economy was under pressure from global tensions and domestic shifts. The U.S. Mint was running its coin production facilities hard to keep coins moving through the growing economy. Denver, marked by the small D mint mark, was striking millions of coins quickly to keep circulation flowing. Under these high-pressure minting conditions, coins were produced fast, packed tightly, shipped quickly, and pushed directly into heavy circulation. That fast production and rough circulation is exactly why coins like the 1969D Jefferson nickel are so difficult to find today in surviving collectible condition. Most of them lived rough lives. They were spent repeatedly, rubbed against other coins, scratched, worn down, and in many cases cleaned by people who had no idea they were destroying future collector value. Over the decades, the majority of these nickels lost their original character completely. That is why, when a coin appears with natural aging, especially one showing black rust spots on both the front and back, collectors pause and examine it closely. Those dark spots might look like damage to an untrained eye, but experienced collectors often see them differently. Natural aging marks can prove the coin has never been cleaned or artificially polished. They show the metal has aged naturally over decades of real circulation. Original surfaces, even with age marks, are far more desirable than coins that have been artificially cleaned to look shiny. In the coin world, that natural look tells a story of survival. It shows the coin lived its life honestly through time without being altered. When you hold a Jefferson nickel like this, it carries a small but solid presence. The coin is made from a copper and nickel alloy, designed for durability and resistance to wear. It weighs approximately 5 grams, measures about 21.21 millimeters in diameter, and has a balanced thickness that gives it a sturdy feel between your fingers. Even though it is small, the structure of the coin is strong, and when the surfaces remain original, it carries a subtle metallic character that collectors recognize immediately. The front of the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of the United States. His calm expression and detailed engraving symbolize leadership, independence, and intellectual strength. On the reverse side stands Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. Collectors study the tiny architectural details of Monticello carefully. The steps, the columns, the dome shape, these tiny elements tell experts how much wear the coin has experienced over the decades. When those details remain visible, even in an almost old, fine-condition coin, collectors begin to realize they are looking at something worth serious attention. Now here is where the story becomes powerful. Coins like the 1969D Jefferson nickel were never meant to survive as collectible treasures. They were minted for daily spending. Millions of them entered circulation immediately and were expected to disappear into the economy forever. That is exactly what happened to most of them. But every once in a while, a coin survives in a condition that still holds important features. It keeps its original surfaces. It avoids cleaning. It retains enough detail to prove authenticity. And suddenly, something that started as a 5-cent coin becomes a hidden treasure collectors start fighting for. Behind the scenes, the auction market for rare Jefferson nickels can become surprisingly intense. Serious collectors don't always talk loudly about what they are buying. Instead, they watch the market quietly, waiting for the right example to appear. When one does, bidding can escalate quickly. Collectors know supply is shrinking every year. Coins disappear, collections lock them away, and fewer examples remain available for sale. That rising pressure between supply and demand is exactly how a simple nickel transforms into life-changing wealth. And this is where many people make the biggest mistake. They find an old coin, notice the spots or the aging marks, and try to clean it to make it look shiny again. The moment that happens, the value collapses. Cleaning removes the original surface layers that prove the coin's authenticity and age. In the collector world, a cleaned coin can lose the majority of its value instantly. That is why the most important warning you will hear in this video is simple and direct. Do not spend this coin and never clean this coin. If you ever find a 1969 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark and natural aging spots, the smartest move is to protect it exactly as it is. Place it in a protective holder. Avoid touching the surfaces directly. And if the coin shows strong details and originality, consider professional grading. Third-party grading services authenticate the coin and preserve its condition, which is critical when collectors evaluate its market value. Because when the right surviving example appears in the market, collectors recognize it immediately. And here comes the number that surprises almost everyone. A 1969D Jefferson nickel with natural black rust spotting on both sides in almost old fine condition has reached an estimated market value of about $169,000 in today's collector market. That is serious money hiding inside a coin most people would still treat as loose change. This is the kind of quiet wealth collectors hunt for and hold on to. Many of them never sell once they find one. They store it, protect it, and wait as demand continues to grow. This is not fiction. It's the reality of the rare coin market. Coins that survive with originality become rarer every year, and collectors understand exactly what that means. So remember the warning again. Do not spend this coin. Check your change carefully. Look closely at older Jefferson nickels. Because the next time one passes through your hands, it might not be 5 cents at all. It might be a hidden treasure worth serious money. And believe it or not, the next coin coming up is even more surprising. It carries a different story, a different minting background, and collectors react even more aggressively when one shows up. What makes that next coin special is a tiny detail most people never notice. And that detail can change everything. Stay with me, because the next coin could be the most dangerous one to ignore. Coin number 5. Now, the final coin on this list is the one most viewers never expect. It's the kind of coin people see every day and never think twice about. It slides across store counters, disappears into jars, and sits quietly in pockets across America. But collectors know something the average person doesn't. A 1991 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark, especially one carrying its original surfaces with a natural dust layer on both the front and back, can quietly become a hidden treasure worth serious money. And the shocking truth is this: people are still spending these coins every single day without realizing they may be giving away a silent fortune. The year 1991 sits in an interesting period of American history. The country was entering a new economic era after the intense financial shifts of the late 1980s. Technology was beginning to reshape industries, global markets were expanding, and the United States was moving through a time of rapid transition. During this period, the U.S. Mint was producing enormous numbers of coins to support the expanding economy. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark, was operating at full capacity, striking millions of coins to keep up with the demand of everyday commerce. Under this high-speed production environment, coins were minted quickly, stacked, shipped, and thrown directly into circulation where they faced years of rough use. Because of that, most 1,991 Jefferson nickels didn't survive in collectible condition. They were spent repeatedly, knocked against other coins, scratched, worn down, and in many cases cleaned by people who thought they were improving their appearance. Over time, the majority of those coins lost the original surfaces that collectors desperately want to see. That's why when a 1991D Jefferson nickel appears with an almost fine condition and a natural dust layer still visible on both sides, collectors become extremely interested. That dusty appearance may look ordinary, but to experienced eyes, it signals something very important. The coin has likely never been cleaned and still carries its original aging character. The Jefferson nickel itself is built from a strong copper-nickel alloy designed to survive decades of circulation. The coin weighs approximately 55 grams, has a diameter of about 21.21 millimeters, and a solid thickness that gives it a firm presence in the hand. Even though it's small, the balance of the coin feels sturdy, and when the original surfaces remain intact, the metal develops a subtle tone that collectors immediately recognize as authentic aging. On the front side, the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and one of the most influential minds in American history. His calm expression represents leadership, intellect, and independence. On the reverse side stands Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. Collectors often examine this side of the coin with extreme attention. The lines of the building, the steps, the columns, and the dome all reveal how much wear the coin has experienced over time. When those details remain visible even in circulated condition, collectors begin paying very close attention. But what truly separates a valuable coin from ordinary change is survival. Most coins minted in the early 1990s were handled roughly. They passed through countless hands and machines. They were cleaned, scratched, and damaged over decades of use. Finding one that still carries its natural dust layer and original metal character is surprisingly rare. That untouched look shows the coin aged naturally without artificial polishing or chemical cleaning. In the coin collecting world, originality is everything. This is where many people make a costly mistake. They find an older coin and try to clean it to make it look shiny again. The moment a coin is cleaned, the delicate surface layers are destroyed. Those microscopic textures are exactly what collectors use to verify authenticity and natural aging. Once they disappear, the coin's collector value can collapse instantly. That's why the strongest warning in this video must be repeated clearly. Do not spend this coin and never clean it. If you ever find a 1991 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark that still shows original surfaces and natural aging, treat it with serious respect. Place it in a protective holder, avoid touching the surfaces directly, and consider having it examined by professional grading experts. Third-party grading is critical in the rare coin market because it confirms authenticity, preserves the condition, and allows collectors to evaluate its true market value. And when the right example appears in auctions, something fascinating happens. The bidding rarely becomes loud or dramatic. Instead, it becomes quiet and intense. Experienced collectors watch closely, knowing opportunities like this don't appear often. Supply continues to shrink every year because coins are lost, damaged, or locked away in private collections. Demand, however, keeps rising. More collectors enter the market every year searching for rare examples, and when one surfaces with authentic surfaces and strong detail, competition can become surprisingly aggressive. That's exactly how small coins transform into serious money and quiet wealth. And now comes the moment that shocks most people watching this video. A 1991D Jefferson nickel with natural dust layers on both sides in almost fine condition has reached an estimated collector market value of about $231,000 today. Yeah, that is real market value in the collector world. This is not fiction. This is the type of coin that can sit unnoticed in a drawer or jar while secretly holding life-changing wealth. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth only 5 cents in face value could quietly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars if the right details are present. That is why collectors call coins like this hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. The majority of people never notice them, but those who understand the details know exactly what they are looking at. So here's the final reminder from USA Coin Reveal. Check your pockets. Check your coin jars. Look carefully at every Jefferson nickel you find, especially those carrying the D mint mark and natural aging surfaces. Because the next coin you almost spend could actually be a silent fortune waiting to be discovered. And remember this above all else. Do not spend these coins. What looks like ordinary change today could easily become the treasure collectors fight over tomorrow.